What's up, everybody? So, this is Dave here, and we are on part two of our Let's Develop playlist. And for this part, I want to, instead of just going straight to coding, I want to go ahead and introduce Trello here, which this will help organize and well as like kind of schedule things like that on what I want our program to do. Now you can see five different cards here. The first is our backbone. Now this is kind of like the meat of the algo trading bot, and this is all like through Python. And then we have our database, as well as our Twitter feed module. So that way our bot will be able to check on Twitter, and then TikTok, as well as our UE4/UE5 game client, and then also our YouTube streaming. So if we look over here through Python and the Python script, you can see we have APIs, various accounts we need to set up, how we're going to get our watch list, the various technical and social indicators, and then we'll move to the stock market prediction and how it'll move, as well as buying and selling. So if we look here under our APIs, now this is a tentative list, but I believe I have everything here. So the general APIs that we have are the MongoDB through PyMongo, OpenAI and GPT-3 using the OpenAI library. We'll be accessing our Google services, such as YouTube, as well as the text-to-speech through the Google API Python client. And then we also have TikTok, as well as ImageMagick. ImageMagick will help us do our text overlays on our stock small videos. Those are 15 seconds, 30 seconds long. And then it'll auto-upload to TikTok. So our next section here is our financial APIs. We have our broker API, WeBull, and then we also have Yahoo Finance, AlphaVantage, and IEX Finance. Yahoo Finance, we'll use that to get our daily prices and our daily volume. And AlphaVantage and IEX Finance, we'll be able to use those to get our 5-minute periods and our 1-minute periods. Now, the reason why I'm using all three of those combined is for load balancing, because both AlphaVantage as well as IEX Finance, they both have data caps, and they limit you on how much data you can download in a certain time period. So moving on, we have our news APIs. Now we'll be getting Google News and their RSS feed through Feed Parser. Feed Parser is built into Python, so that's not a third-party API or anything. We'll also be getting some news through WeBull. We'll be using a third-party library called FinNews in order to access Seeking Alpha as well as Yahoo News. And IEX Finance, they do have their own news section, so we can also use that to get some news items as well. And we'll store all of that news into the database for each individual stock under the date, headline, summary. So that'll help out once we get into sentiment analysis. So our social media APIs, like I said, we'll be using Twitter for our trading bot to talk to other people on Twitter, and that'll be used. That library will be TweetPy. Next, this is more of social media, and it won't interact with people through Reddit. I mean, it could, but I only want to do Twitter and Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. But we can pull things from Reddit using Fin News, for further social media sentiment. Next up, we have StockTwits, which is a Twitter for the stock market and finance. And we'll be using their library called PyTwits. Next up is our machine learning APIs that we'll be using. For the most part, everything will be downloaded through sklearn. Sklearn is basically kind of like getting your feet wet into machine learning. A lot of the things are already built in. Now, eventually, down the road, I do want to get into learning how to use like neural nets as well as TensorFlow. But, for now, sklearn will work. And through sklearn, we can use Vader sentiment in order to do our sentiment analysis. And then we'll also be using NumPy as well as Pandas and Pandas Data Reader. So that's it for basically the backbone and the APIs that we need through Python. So let's go ahead and look here at our databases. So each stock or each ticker symbol will have its own basically database, and in that database we'll have your daily chart, 5-minute charts, as well as news items. Now, I don't need to put our 1-minute charts into the database because the 1-minute charts are more for streaming instead of for access later on the road. So what that means is that a part of the machine learning will be using your daily charts for the watch list, and then for the actual trades it'll be using like 5-minute charts for the machine learning part. And then of course the news for sentiment and analysis. And I should also do social here as well. So social media. And then next up we have a general database. The general database will have a listing of all stock tickers as well stock tickers / symbols. They're one and the same. And it'll also have another table with just general market news. So that could be, the Dow Jones, NASDAQ, the Federal Reserve, anything that could relate to the stock market. So there's a table for that. Next up is social media. And this particular database will allow Python to send data to YouTube, Twitter, as well as like financial education for Unreal Engine. So if you think of it like an MMO, all MMOs need a database to connect their clients together. Sort of similar, but instead of 2 game clients, I'm using Python and a game client. Next up will be our Twitter feed module. And this will just post watching stocks, our buys, sells, and then respond to any comments. Now, the methodology on how it'll reply is it'll be constantly checking the Twitter feed for comments. If a comment is found, it'll store that into it'll store that into a database. Or, no, it doesn't even need to do a database. It'll store it as a TW comment, and then it'll send that comment string to OpenAI, and it'll get a return string that it will store as TW reply. And then it'll take that string and then post that string TW reply to the comment, so it'll reply. Next up, we have our TikTok module. And like I said in the last video, I believe it was, is that it will take a few videos that I have that are just stock videos. It will do a text overlay, and then it will post that video. And yeah, so watch lists, trades, financial education, and it has audio, video as well. So nothing too terribly difficult here, actually. Next up is this will take some time, but it's our UE4/UE5 game, and I'm kind of going with a like cyberpunk theme on that. So with our characters, we have our main character, which is a news anchor, and we'll be using MetaHuman in order to create that character. The gender, necomorphic female. Kind of what I'm going for is I'm a big anime fan, and Neko girls, cat girls. We'll see female with like cybernetic cat ears, maybe cybernetic eyes. We'll see. And then our news reporter. The news reporter it will be a metahuman, human male, and the news reporter will be out in the game environment doing like reporting. So that could be like news reporting from the real world or news reporting from the digital world. That's the best description, I guess. And then we finally have like the news production crew. These are characters just in the background in the news studio. And these will be like, various androids that fit the cyberpunk theme. Next up, we have our environments. This is the game environment, which our character is based in. We will have a downtown, suburb, industrial area. And the reason for that, if the news reporter goes out into the environment, it'll be there. Finally, various plugins that we'll need to use with UE4/UE5. We have MongoDB, that driver, or MongoDB driver. That's what the plugin is named. And then we have Firebase. That will be like an eventuality if I do start using cloud hosting. So Firebase is another service through Google that also uses NoSQL. So if I migrate the MongoDB over to Firebase, I shouldn't have too much of an issue with doing that. Finally, we have Window Capture 2D. I may or may not use this, but what the idea is that if I want to show the WeBull desktop application in-game, this will allow me to do so. And finally, we have Substance, which, because I'm going with like an ArcViz style, even if it's cyberpunk, I still want it to look like hyper realistic. So Substance allows me to use physically based renderings of materials. And finally, we have various assets. I've already taken a look through like the marketplace and see if I can find things that are fairly interesting. As you can see, it is definitely costly. So we're probably looking at, I would say, a good $750 roughly, just guesstimating it, probably 1,000 or more. So I'm just a normal person. So hey, if you can like and subscribe on these videos, that would greatly appreciate it. Kind of bring in some ad revenue. And of course the links in the M1 Finance and WeBull, those will both help me out as well if you choose to. So we have our environments, and you can kind of see here what I'm going for. Our UI and LUTs. LUTs are basically lighting, kind of like tinting in a way. And then various characters. And these will be like just background characters. They don't need to be meta-humans, because that would just be too much for the entire thing. Because there won't be any like players. You won't have a controller or anything like that. But the camera, I don't want it to seem like an empty world. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up, some characters so we can create like crowds. Finally, some audio, and then the Scout Drone VR AR low poly 3D model. Those are actually our cameras that'll be flying around. So finally, we have our YouTube streaming, and this is what I want to do with YouTube. Is the avatar will inform people, of the watch lists and what it's watching for the day, news for the total stock market, news for each company that are being watched. If you type a question or if you say something to the avatar, it'll reply back to you live for the most part, I'm hoping. And it won't be like a typical chat bot. So let's say you type hello to the bot, it'll actually voice a reply in the stream. So it'll be like you're talking to a live person, only you're not. Then we'll also discuss, various purchases and sales, as well as, like I mentioned before, hopefully we'll do like some financial education. So that's pretty much it. This is everything that we're looking to do with our application. So it seems like a lot. It seems like it might not be a lot, but this is why I like organizing all of my projects through Trello, is so that way I can break everything down. Because as the old saying goes, is you don't want to eat the entire pizza at once. You want to take slices and eat each slice, one at a time. I think that's an old saying, or that might just be new. I think I just invented it. But anyways, this is Dave here. I hope you kind of enjoyed this video. I know it's not much, but we'll start actually getting into the meat of things next video. Once we install Docker, install Python, and get everything set up, which you'll be on that journey with me as well. So like I mentioned before, if you like the video, please give me a like and subscribe. Also, if you want to start your investment journey as well, I'll leave a link through M1 Finance that will show my dividend portfolio. And if you like that style of being an investor, you can use that link, and that'll help both of us. And if you want to look into actually being a stock market trader, I'll also have a link through WeBull down below as well. Thanks a lot, and you guys have a great rest of your day.